Growing up, I'd always had a weirdly specific interest in fantasy. I loved the heck out of games like Spyro, and instead of cops and robbers, I made up a game called Vampires and Werewolves. Literally the same thing, but vampires and werewolves. Hence the clever name from 4-year-old me. I was a weird kid growing up, obviously, especially with the supernatural, and it definitely stuck with me as I got older. Why? Why was I interested in all this sort of stuff? I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up on Harry Potter. I was very obsessed with dragons. I don't know. And we may never know. Like most girls growing up in the 2000s, I watched and read any vampire-related media I could get my hands on. The Twilight Saga. Read the books, watched the movies, and now I spend my time as an adult unironically enjoying it while simultaneously critiquing the fuck out of it. The Vampire Diaries. Watched the series, got a gigantic crush on Damon Salvatore, and then quit watching at season 5 because people kept dying and coming back and it was just confusing and And hey, I could easily instead a joke about how my 12 to 14-year-old self had zero taste and that we should all laugh at her, but the world has done that enough to young girls when they get into their own little dumb fandoms, so let's just skip it. Now as a 22-year-old, I've become a smidge more, cultured, I guess. I'm currently watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first time with my husband, which I'm enjoying a lot, along with the spin-off Angel. If I'd grown up in the 90s as a teenager then, when the series was, at its peak, I probably would have been absolutely obsessed with it, but I'm only just getting into it now. I'm also watching a little bit of True Blood on my own, casually, because I saw a compilation of a vampire saying the main character's name dramatically, and I thought it was the funniest shit.
Suki.
Underworld also piqued my interest, and I need to finish watching that. And very recently, I watched Queen of the Damned for the first time, and that was an experience. That was a very grungy, sexually tension-filled experience. Now, these two stages of my life had a turning point, something that got me to transition from supernatural romance stories to adult content. It's something I've always wanted and fantasized about from the moment I got into gaming outside The Sims and The Dog Island was, what if there was a vampire game? Are there any vampire games out there? That would be really cool. My first, I guess you could say, vampire game was Castlevania Lords of Shadow, but that doesn't really count. And then in 2018, I played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines for the first time. I found out about the game through watching Cry's Let's Play back in, 2013?
Hey guys, welcome. It's Cry Plays Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This is an older game that has a huge cult following that's probably going to get really pissed off at me for playing it. But I don't want that to stop me from playing it because it's always looked pretty cool to me. Yeah, so I'm going to play it now.
Bloodlines filled a hole in my special interest that I wanted to fill but didn't know exactly how I wanted to fill it. The World of Darkness is an interesting setting to me because it fulfills something for me as a consumer of this particular spicy piece of media that most modern interpretations of vampirism don't do. It goes to dark places. Now I could easily make a point about the sexual side of this game, how it isn't scared to get raunchy with characters like Jeanette, Velvet, how even the way you as a player feed off of someone by seducing them in a dialogue scenario. The act of biting someone is erotic in itself. It's kind of part of the whole sexy trope vampires have. Hell, you should see Queen of the Damned. It is dripping with sexual undertones within all the grunge. Holy shit. But sex aside, what makes it for me is how dark these storylines go. How bloody the game can get. And also, the more you get to know certain characters, whether they're main characters or side ones, you learn of their past. Sometimes their situations are very dire. Some have lived a sad life but tried to make the best of their new immortal one. Others have just been thrown into the world of darkness and everything that comes with it recently, and you're seeing them deal with that emotionally. You can help them, or you can walk away. Minor spoilers for some story events in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines coming up, so be wary. Nothing for the main storyline though. The first example I'll give of this is Heather. Either way, no matter what you do for her, Heather's story ends badly for her. In the Santa Monica hospital where you meet her, You can heal her with your blood, turning her into your own personal ghoul, or you can leave her to die. You can just leave her to her fate. You have the complete freedom to just let this bleeding out girl die. If you choose to save her, on the other hand, she'll seek you out after. The blood connection between you two from her drinking your blood creating a codependency on you. She feels like she needs you.
I want to help you. I owe you my life, and I feel like I need to repay you. I almost forgot. I'm Heather. Heather Poe. I'm not weirding you out or anything, am I?
She'll then move in, do errands for you, be there for you when you need a bite to eat. But ultimately, by the time endgame rolls around, she'll be kidnapped by the enemy and killed brutally. No matter how kind you were to her under the circumstances or how cruel you were, there was never going to be a happy ending for Heather.
I shouldn't even think such a thing. I mean, if you disappeared, how could I go on? But you're here now. I'm so glad when you're near me.
The second and final example is a quest in Bloodlines, specifically Carnival of Death. The quest revolves around a string of messed up murders in Los Angeles over the past 2 years, and as you delve into the story, you'll eventually come face to face with the killer.
Vampire, stay the fuck back! I did nothing to you!
During your confrontation, you'll learn that his wife and children were killed in a car robbery gone wrong by some inexperienced criminals.
My family, my children were butchered by small-time criminals just looking to rob a house, steal a car, take whatever. No sense to any of it. No plan, no ransom, just kill them because why? Because they were there, in the way?
And in the past 2 years since then, he set out to avenge their deaths. Does that make the fucked up ways he's been killing people okay? Probably not. Definitely not. But come on. Can you blame the guy for going full John Wick? You can even be sympathetic towards him and persuade him to see the error of his methods, or kill him outright. If you do the first option, you don't know that he'll follow through and steer clear of splitting bodies in half and de-gunning people at all. It's a leap of faith. And if you kill him, then well, it's a grim ending for a sad tale. The stories of the vampire serial killer of LA and Heather for me when I played added a sobering yet fantastic sense of immersion to the experience of diving into Vampire the Masquerade for the first time. It pretty much screams, hey, the night is dark and filled with terrors in this universe. If you're a human, the chances of your survival are slim to none. If you're a kindred, be fucking smart about your choices. It doesn't matter how good of a vampire you try to strive to be if that's how you wanted to roleplay in your playthrough of this game. At the end of the day, it's very easy to lose your humanity, and even if you try to cling on to it and do good deeds for other people, sometimes it just, doesn't end well. And that, my friends, is the world of darkness at the end of the day. And quite simply, I like that. I mean, now that I say all this, it does make me sound kind of like masochistic in a way to any passerby watching. And don't get me wrong, I love my more happy, hunky-dory stories too. But I guess I'm a sucker for a sad boy backstory and a pinch of grimness whenever I'm reading something or watching something or playing a game. The angst, the melodrama of it all. Vampires make for good story fodder if that is your thing. Eventually I'd love to look into the tabletop as well, since I'm already balls deep in Dungeons and Dragons currently, but I don't think my friend group would be interested, sadly. Anyone got room for an extra Toreador gal? Please? I want to talk to someone about vampires and I'm driving my husband crazy, please help. Which is why I am super pumped for Bloodlines 2 this year. I am anxious to get right into the nitty gritty of another vampire story. And ultimately, that is the story of how I got into Vampire the Masquerade. I guess at the end of the day, I can kind of thank Cry for doing that Let's Play all those years ago. If I hadn't have been in a place in my life where I needed escapism through watching Let's Plays, I would have never have come across this game. I would have taken one look at the cover and thought, that looks like shit. Wherever you are in the world, Cry, thank you. And I hope you guys watching also enjoyed this video of me sharing how I got into Vampire the Masquerade. If you yourself watching are also a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, how did you get into it? How did you find out? Was it similar to my experience? Or did you have a completely different experience? Let me know down in the comments below because I'd really love to read it. In 2020, this channel is completely about fangirling over anything. Anything goes nowadays. I have stopped caring and now I just talk about whatever I want, and today it happens to be vampires. And of course, a massive thank you to my current patrons of 2020. They are, of course, Nicholas Montoya, Cooladora, Kazgirl, and Zapfanouch. And if you want to see your name shouted out at the end of the video like these amazing people right here, do hop on over to my Patreon and check out all the full rewards on offer. And thank you so much for all of the amazing support you guys give me on that platform. It has funded many different things on this channel and also has kept me fed. So thank you very much for all the support on Patreon. This is IceWire signing off, and I'll see you introverts later next time on the channel. Have a lovely day / night wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!